Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. Today it's my pleasure to welcome the Financial Express editor Sunil Jain. Sunil, after a long hiatus, welcome back to PGurus and Namaskar.
Thank you, Sree. Very, very good to be here, as always.
And a very erudite person, and I don't know how it happened that I didn't think of circling back to you to have your thoughts on, like, for example, budget or something else. But when I read today's piece of yours, I said I must have a hangout with Sunil on this because it is something that is very interesting, very relevant, and it has far-reaching consequences. So what we're going to talk about is the article today that Sunil has written in the Financial Express, and the title of the article is Time to End the Hypocrisy in Retail. And to get a little bit of context, the way I understood it, Sunil, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So there are two different rules, it appears, for companies who are doing business in the retail sector in India. Those who are foreign companies such as Walmart and Amazon, one set of rules. Then you have a different set of rules for companies like Reliance and other companies who are also doing e-commerce, but they are incorporated in
Indian.
India.
That's
However,
correct.
this is where things start getting a little confusing because now we know Reliance has got an investment from abroad, and so has maybe other people, so have other people also. So then what happens to their status? And is there some sort of an attempt to make Atmanirbharta fit into this thing? Is that what it is? And I'm reading some of the rules that you have specified, and it's as clear as mud to me, if you will. So, Sunil, tell me the rationale for treating these two separately, and what is happening. So that way we can get into the problem and then we can also suggest some solutions for this. Take it away, sir.
Okay. So, basically, this stems from the fact that the BJP as a party has always been opposed to foreign investment in the retail sector. This is nothing to do with this government. This has been an old policy of the BJP. And the argument has been a completely fallacious argument. But the argument has been that, the kiranas will get hit and things like that. Yeah. Now, this never ever made sense because if you look at, you live in America, so if you look at Walmart and the kind of size of the Walmart stores, there's no way that these people would ever hit the kirana. So, so the policy was always a flawed one to begin with, but in any case, that is what it was there. Now, in the meantime, in the meanwhile, what happened was that, the Congress party, before it lost power, had agreed to allow FDI in retail. When the BJP came, it said that it didn't want it, so it tried to, put a halt to that. So meanwhile, Flipkart and Amazon came up with this thing called marketplace. So it essentially meant that these foreign retailers came into India and they started selling products on what is called a marketplace. So later on, Walmart paid 16 billion to buy Flipkart, and apart from that, I think between these two companies, they've invested about 8 to 10 billion dollars in building warehouses and other kind of infrastructure, whole delivery network in India. Now, the thing is that the way I look at it, there are two, three kinds of hypocrisy at play here. One is that, when the money was coming in, there is no way that the BJP government did not know what this money was coming in for. It's unlikely that, either the Prime Minister or anybody else in the government thought that, Walmart or is just setting up a kind of an e-commerce platform. And, if somebody comes and sells on it, they'll give it Walmart a commission and Walmart will be happy with it. Or when it comes to my house, I will pay a delivery charge of 30 rupees or 40 rupees per packet, and Walmart will be happy with it. So the government pretty much knew what was happening here. They chose to keep quiet because the BJP is sort of the Kirana store was the BJP's sort of loyal base. So it looked okay. It was hypocrisy of a different sort, if you will, that we are allowing these people to come in. But we will not call it FDI in retail. And in any case, frankly, once this online revolution had happened, those big box stores of the past perhaps didn't make any sense anymore, so this seemed to be the best way of going about it. Now, the problem with this thing is that, as we said, as you discussed, the rules are very different for a Walmart or a Flipkart. Walmart, Flipkart, or an Amazon, and any other Indian player. You talked about Reliance. It doesn't have to be Reliance. It could be, it could be D-Mart, it could be Future Retail, it could be anybody. So the rules are as simple as this. So, for example, what they say is, one of the things that is talked about very often is that there's a lot of deep discounting that is taking place. So the view is that Walmart and Amazon just pump in billions of dollars. They lower the prices of the iPhone or whatever you I want to buy. As a result of which, all of us desert the local store, whether it's a Kirana or any other. We desert the local store, and we go and buy from Amazon and Flipkart and Walmart. Yeah. Now, this itself is a bit of a fallacious argument. It has a lot of problems, this argument itself. So, for example, one, it is not even true that there are these levels of discounts anymore. So, if you look at the latest iPhone 12 or even the iPhone 11, or if you look at products like that, branded products, there isn't that much of a difference in the price on online or offline stores. So, that's point number one. So, when we make this charge that there is a huge difference, I think the government of India needs to put out a price list to actually explain, okay, that on this is a difference, this is a difference. You see, what is happening is you and I can always get great deals on Amazon or on Flipkart. Yeah? But those great deals are of, it'll be, let's say, a 6 GB phone, whereas, what people want is an 8 GB phone, or it could be something with a refresh rate of 120 hertz, whereas, what Walmart is offering is actually a 60 hertz one, so there are all kinds of little differences which make, so that's point number one, that there is no evidence of the price being that different. Secondly, even if you assume that that these people are discounting, what is the government saying? So the government is saying that I think a 15% discount is okay but not a 25, or I feel a 25 is okay but not a 30. So when the government puts out rules saying that do not have a discount, they'll need to actually start saying that what is the appropriate level of discount, and does this discount apply as of today, or is it a discount over a period of time? Let's not forget that when it comes to clearance sales, even offline retailers give you 60, 70, 80% discount. So so I think this discounting thing is a huge problem. But here's the other thing which I was talking about in the article here. Let's say that we come out with what should be an appropriate discount here. An Indian company which is doing ERetail, so let's say a future retail, or a Reliance as we talked about, or a D-Mart, these people can give whatever discount they want, but a Walmart or an Amazon cannot. Now, this is completely unfair that you have two sets of rules. That's point number one. Point number two is that we know that everywhere in the world, the way that you really give bargains to your customer is over a period of time you develop store brands. So, which means that there will be the aspirin which is produced by, the company, and there will be a Walmart aspirin or something like that. Usually, the store brand costs half or even less what the branded thing costs. Now, again, we've got a little in that press note 2 of 2018. We've got a thing which basically, I'll spare your readers the details. They can read the piece if they want. But, essentially what it says is that the local player can give that discount. He can have a store label. So a D-Mart can say, okay, I'm going to tell Sree Iyer, why don't you set up a factory for me? And I'm going to invest, $100 million in this factory, and you produce this thing and you give it to me at this price. Yeah. But a Walmart or a Flip, or an Amazon cannot. So this is, this doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So as I said, this is born in the BJP's historical opposition to FDI and multi-brand retail. Now, the reason why I wrote this piece today and not earlier was that if you look at the last few weeks, the last few months, the last few days, there has been a welcome change in the way Prime Minister Modi is approaching these things. The biggest thing which everybody has read about is the Prime Minister saying that, we love the public sector and public sector is very important, but everything cannot be produced by the public sector. And let's not forget that in a country like ours, it is the role of the private sector. It is really the private sector which has shaped India. So he talked about, for example, the PLI scheme on mobile phones. He talked about the vaccine. So, whether it's the Bharat Biotech vaccine or the AstraZeneca vaccine, these are all private sector vaccines. In America, whether it's Pfizer or Moderna, these are all private sector vaccines. So my view was that, the Prime Minister is suddenly saying, let's just cut out the hypocrisy and let's look at what works. You talk about Atmanirbharta, and this PLI scheme is very important in this context. When the Prime Minister is praising the PLI scheme, he's essentially talking about what Apple and Samsung and people like that are going to be doing. They're going to be, importing raw material, imports components, assembling it, and selling it either in India or abroad, mostly abroad. Now the thing is that the Prime Minister doesn't have a problem with Apple importing most of the components and producing it, because what the Prime Minister has got at the back of his mind is that when Apple does this assembly, one, there are lakhs of jobs that are getting created, and India needs jobs. Secondly, saying once Apple comes into the Indian market and over a period of time it starts working here, it figures out how to do business and stuff like that, there will be a certain level of indigenization. Now, indigenization can take 5 years, 6 years, it can take 10 years. You just got to look at what Apple produced in China. Look at the value addition in China. Look at the downstream industry that's got created. Look at the employment that's got created. So suddenly the prime minister is saying, you know, much like the thing that it doesn't matter whether the cat is black or white as long as the cat catches mice. So the prime minister says, let's look at the PLI scheme because what we're interested in is the kind of jobs it creates. The prime minister, he tweeted after, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. There's this controversy about what exactly Mr. Trudeau wanted, but the prime minister tweeted to say that, he was going to help him get the vaccine. Now, the vaccine that the Canadians would want would be the AstraZeneca one. So the Prime Minister is very proud of what Serum Institute is making, but even he knows very well that this has actually been made by Oxford and AstraZeneca. But why the Prime Minister proud? Because it is being produced in India. But whoever owned the intellectual property doesn't matter, but there is a certain Indian component to it. So
Value
if the
add,
Prime Minister,
value add.
so the
Yeah.
yeah, so the Prime Minister is being realistic. So that's what I said that if you look at, as I told you that $8 to $10 billion has been brought in by these two companies alone. Yeah. They've set up these mammoth warehouses there. They've got between these two players, they've got about 4 to 6 lakh SMEs, people who've never seen a global market or an Indian market. These guys have gotten a way to sell thanks to Walmart and Amazon. Yeah. So I'm saying here the Prime Minister who suddenly realizes that hey, there's this great opportunity that is coming with these players in. So why don't I just get rid of this thing about foreign or Indian? I'll give you a very critical reason for him doing it. I don't think the Kirana guy is going to get killed by the e-commerce of either Amazon or Walmart. But let's assume, for the sake of argument, that the moment the e-commerce players come, the Kirana store dies. Okay? So the moment something is available online, all of us say, we don't want to go to the Kirana, we don't want to go to the neighborhood store. So everything will shut down in India. It's not going to happen, just for the sake of argument. Now, what these two policies of ours seem to be saying is that we don't have a problem, or we are okay with the kiranas and the neighborhood stores and all these small retailers shutting down, but we would rather that they died at the hand of an Indian company, an Indian retailer, not at the hand of a Walmart or an Amazon. I think that's a bit absurd. We're looking at foreigners coming in, FDI coming in. You're looking at companies like Infosys and Tata's and all these people. We are working in America. If the Americans were to turn around and tell us, like the way Donald Trump was doing, or if the Americans were to say, "I'm sorry, you can't do business in India," we are very upset when the Americans say that Infosys has to hire people in America. We say, why can't we do it with Indians? So, we are doing virtually the same thing ourselves. So I just felt that the Prime Minister is being very pragmatic, and he, got this new burst of energy or enthusiasm when it comes to reforms. So maybe this is as good a time as any to push it. That was the philosophy or the reason for writing this article now.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree with you more. So I just want to add a couple of things to what you mentioned, Sunil. One of the things is Apple found out that it has a huge reseller value for the product that have become a little bit obsolete for example, United States, but these are perfectly capable of holding their own in a market like India. So what they do is they actually will buy back your used Apple iPhone for like $100, $150. You would have probably paid $300, $500 for it, but you're getting decent money back. Then what they do is turn around and then they figure out what is wrong, what is right, buff it up, do something, put a pretty face on it, and then resell it perhaps for $300. So in the value add there is that they need to use some engineering resources to bring it to that level. India is perfect for that. Because for the third world countries, you want to keep the price of this overhead to as low as possible. And no problem, no two problems are the same. I have an iPhone here. This one I tried repair. I'm sorry. Now you can see it. I tried repairing it 2 times, and the problem is this display is not acting anymore. Like I put my finger, it won't come to that. And they
Okay.
have a chip. They changed it. It worked for 2 months and it died again. So these kinds of problems where this thing probably can attract 33,000 rupees because it's a big one. It's 8 plus, fairly big screen. So things like this that Apple can go and resell it. So those kind of jobs require semi-technical engineering skills, hardware skills, software skills to be able to put it through the testing process once it is repaired and then bring it back into the mainstream. So Apple is doing a fantastic job. And one thing that I also want to mention about Amazon, If you look at Amazon.com, I'm a seller on Amazon. I sell all my books on Amazon.
Okay.
Like, for example,
Yeah.
this book, C
Hmm.
Company, this I'm selling in Amazon. This one is just about to hit the stores. It's called National Herald Frauds. This is about to go to Amazon. And I may have some differences in opinion with Jeff Bezos on what Washington Post puts out. But in terms of the logistics and the analytics tools that they
Yeah.
give, you know, unparalleled. I know
Absolutely.
exactly where I'm getting the bang for my buck. I can really focus my energies to saying, this is what I want to do. This is the price point that I will do well. All sorts of information I get. So these companies are actually making the Indian companies also better, because if Reliance or DMart wants you to switch from Amazon, the guy who's selling, he would want to know if he has the same, set of tools or
Reach.
not,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
there are lots of good things about this. So my last takeaway question from to you, Sunil, is how does the government solve this problem? It seems to me that it's a bit of a mess. Foreign investment through to an Indian company, Indian investment to a foreign company. For example, Amazon India goes public, and then it's Indian investors who are putting the money into that Amazon India. Then
Exactly.
does that
Exactly.
make it an Indian company?
Yeah,
So what is the
it is
solution?
it is just an absurd mess that we've created, you know. So I mean, as you said, the DMart gets some money, let's say at the parent level, or
Right.
some at a parent level, a company gets some money. It has a retail structure. How do you actually ensure that the foreign money is not coming into retail? So we've come up with these myriad laws. In fact, I think frankly, if the prime minister has to fix his ease of doing business, he needs to abolish a lot of these laws. I mean, one of my previous articles, for example, I've talked about the fact that, when I was talking about the bureaucrat, the prime minister, just launched into this broadside into the bureaucrat the other day in parliament. In fact, he used the pejorative term babu for them here, you know. So one of the examples of what a babu does is, so for, I think at least on two occasions in the last 1 year, 1.5 to 2 years, this government has actually said we are going to free up petrol, we are going to free up oil and gas prices. So whoever produces, I mean, takes out oil from India or natural gas, you can price it at the global, price level, which is very, very good, and which is what is going to attract investment. But it appears, thanks to these the bureaucrats and the odd rules that they put in, that these changes apply only to new fields. So I mean, so just to give you an example, so what we're telling ONGC is that you're going to get the old controlled price for all your existing production. When you come up with something new, we'll give you the international price. But if ONGC doesn't make money now, how is ONGC going to get the profits to be able to set up a new venture? So I mean, it is absurd stuff like that. We just it's like we just have layers and layers and layers of red tape, which is what the prime minister needs to get rid of. It's not going to be an easy task. And the sad part here is that while the prime minister launched a broadside into the bureaucrats, it is the bureaucrats who have to need to come and clean up the system. So it is going to be tough for the prime minister to work with these same bureaucrats and expect them to change. But let's be honest. In 1991, Dr. Manmohan Singh managed a lot with the same bureaucrats. In 1999, Atal Bihari Vajpayee managed a lot of things with the same bureaucrats. So you need some smart ministers. You'll obviously need to find some good bureaucrats, but it can be done. I think the critical thing here is that the political establishment must have great clarity on what it wants. I gave one example. For example, you look at Monsanto here. Now, Monsanto is being hounded by the Indian government. So much so that the then, additional Solicitor General, Tushar Mehta, he actually went to a court in Delhi and said that Monsanto may have a patent for BT cotton, a patent given by the Indian Patent Office, but this patent is illegal here. So the government, no bureaucrat can get after Monsanto if there's not, a clearance from from a very high political level here. So I think we need a lot of political clarity. Certainly, the bureaucrats need to be, get their act together. But much of this is about political clarity. Over the last few weeks, the budget, for example, we saw a lot of or some amount of political clarity coming in. Let's hope that that continues.
And to complement to what you said about Kirana stores, local stores, right? If anything, they are going to thrive more in a post-corona world. You know why? Be-
Uh,
you know why? Because they found out that the Indian lower income wage earner, he wants to have all the good things in life. a little bit of shampoo, a little bit of soap, a little bit
Yeah.
of toothpaste. See, he wants it in that smaller bite size, right?
No, and the Kiranas have been very, very efficient in this whole Corona process, you know.
Right,
The Kirana has been delivering stuff to people within half an hour, within 45 minutes.
right.
They've done an amazing job. So, you know, even this fear that the moment this organized sector guy comes in, all the Kiranas will roll over and die. This is not true either. Yeah. I mean, this is completely being pessimistic, or this is our lack of belief in ourselves, actually. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you one more thing. If I have to sell a book, I need to price the book at a minimum of 150 rupees before I can even turn out 10 rupees of profit. The overhead of doing business through Amazon channel is that high. Okay, so what I'm trying to
Okay.
say is that there's a price point below which e-commerce cannot operate. It will start losing money very fast. So there is always a room for the smaller stores to thrive. It's actually mostly the personal relationship. People have
Yeah.
khata, right? Monthly khata. They'll say, okay, khate mein likh lena, I'll come back and settle it at the end of the month. Those kind of things thrive. So I think the two can coexist. Perhaps a little less confusion in terms of the application of rules, and let the free market decide who has a better product, who has a better service. Thank you very much, Sunil. And if you
Thank
want
you.
to add
Thank you, Sree.
something, please feel free. I
No,
didn't
that's good.
want.
That's good. That's good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and we'll hope to talk to you again very very soon. And as
Yeah.
always, it's a pleasure talking to you, Sunil.
Great. Have a lovely weekend. Bye bye.
Namaskar. Bye.
Namaskar.